1.
This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus, won't it, Drizzle?
Yeah, again.
Welcome to Man Caves and Margaritas.
With Daisy and Jack, Dwiz and Gavin.
Oh yeah. So, I'm feeling really macho today.
Oh my god, have you seen my biceps?
Look, hey,
bro fist. We can't even connect.
this is a clue to what film we've seen. And they'd be pushing pens over his doing
Again.
Dylan!
That's the one.
Dylan, you bastard!
Oh my god, we're mad.
So, if you haven't guessed already, it's Dwiz's film choice, and he's chosen a 4K restoration of
Predator.
wow, 1987.
Was it really?
Yeah,
No, right.
1987. I mean, 2 years after Aliens, and it's what's that? 97, 2000.
2 years after Aliens.
Yeah. 37 years old.
Oh wow, that's amazing. It is very much a film of its time.
Oh, it's a 90s. It's what you would think now is a 90s action film, isn't it? But from the 80s, I mean, really a little bit ahead of its game for the 87.
Yeah, because at the time that kind of concept was very original, and I haven't followed Arnold Schwarzenegger's timeline, but I assume that's him at his peak of his powers.
Oh, that was the decade where he was doing Commando and and Terminators, all of that stuff. And
I'd almost forgotten how sharp he was.
oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for what they wanted from him. He delivered in spades. All right, he's no Shakespearean actor, but for an action hero figure, yeah, fantastic. I mean, I brought up on Schwarzenegger and Stallone in the 80s and
I mean, his look is absolutely amazing. It's been so long since I've seen him, especially in his early days. And he's like, his jawline is so sharp, his cheekbones are like little daggers. And he's got a real kind of piercing eye. There's definitely, there's a lot of these action types now that have tried to take his place, but they haven't got that kind of. He can't really. Excuse me. I need a drink.
He's that macho a film. It sent you to. Of course, I think I know what you mean. He's a real chiz. I mean, never forget he was Mr. Olympus. Like 2 years, 3 years running, or something
Olympia.
like that, or the world, Olympia. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's just his style of charisma and stuff. Like you say something like his modern day equivalent would probably be The Rock, and The Rock's entertaining and funny, but you don't really believe he'd get down dirty in a fight. Like when you see Arnold Schwarzenegger doing it, you're like, yeah, well, that's
him.
Yeah,
he's doing that, and he's getting, and he could get away with that as well. I mean, there's not many actors that you think would be able to punch a predator. Is there really? I think he'd get away with that. You ugly mother. Anyway, listen. Right, what can I say about the Predator? Only as far as to get started by saying that has to be one of the most macho films ever made. What do you think?
What do you think, Daisy? Come on, get down here. Come on. It was very. Well, the whole thing what we were doing, if people don't recognise it, like well, there's the two lead characters when they meet each other, they pretend they don't like each other and go like this and show off their muscles.
Trying to beat each other in an arm wrestle.
Yeah, and you get a framing of just their biceps showing. It's like, incredibly macho.
And what a cast as well. I mean, you got Jesse Ventura, who was actually an ex-Navy SEAL. Anyway, you've got Sonny Landon, who allegedly during the making of that film, the 20th Century Fox paid for a bodyguard to be with him when he was off camera all the time, not because they were worried he was going to get into trouble, but they were worried that he was such a troublemaker that the bodyguard was to protect people around him. So Sonny Langdon, the cheap, the Indian guy there. He was a right nut job.
Oh.
Yeah. You've got Shane Black, who famously wrote screenplays. So he wrote Lethal Weapon, Long Kiss Goodnight, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, like a really prolific buddy kind of screenwriter who played Hawkins, who then went on to direct The Predator, which is bloody awful, by the way. But
Is that the sequel?
The Predator is the fourth. So you've got Predator, Predator 2, Predators, The Predator, and then Prey. And he did The Predator, which has its moments, but it's not very good. Which is a shame, really, because to say he came from the original, which is just one of the best.
Well, it really reminds me of those films that just capture a moment in time, and that they kind of, you can't repeat it because when it was done, it had never been done before.
No, not certainly nothing. That'll be Claire coming in. Hey, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
So certainly never. Yeah. I can't remember. Hi.
Careful with the tripod, doggos.
Hi, Claire. Quick, say hello. Do you want to say hello? Just watch the
Come on, the doggos. Out. We're recording. Come on.
Claire's just come in. Claire, get to the chopper. It won't bark. Get to the chopper.
Have you seen the Predator? Yeah. Come on. You guys can get in here.
Right, well I'll fill in for a moment then, okay?
Come on.
So,
Cut all that out.
we're talking, pardon?
No.
No, keep it in. Keep it in. So, one of the most macho films I think I've ever seen, and I wish I could be at the point where I was seeing that film for the first time, not knowing anything about it again.
That's what I meant about it. You can't repeat that film, the impact it had, because at the time you had no idea about the beats and how things were going to unravel.
Not
But
knowing
once you've seen it, how can you can't do that same kind of thing, but like, oh, I'll do this twist on it, or what, because you just know what's going to happen. You just know what to expect. Even think like the simple beats, like at the end when he decides to take Arnold Schwarzenegger on that mano, so he takes his like stuff off his armour and things.
Yeah.
It's like once you've done that, you can't do that again in an original manner. It's a first.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's the sort of film that you could literally spend hours talking about because of the franchise that it then developed, how they then cross matched it with the Alien franchise, which started with Dark Comics. Just so much. But you know, today let's talk about just that first film. I mean,
where did Predator come from? Was it an original concept or was it a comic?
No, it was an original concept first of all. So it was written as a screenplay first of all. Directed by John McTiernan, who, do you know what the other film he directed pre-Predator? Famous one, and this is probably why he got the gig to do Predator afterwards, because he directed Die Hard.
No, right.
Yeah. So
Two very different films.
Yeah. So a big hitter in the action department, I suppose, as a director.
Yeah.
But as you say, yeah, very different. So no, yeah, it was written as a screenplay, and
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The beat, I can imagine how many drafts it must have gone through, because every single beat is perfect, perfectly timed. There's no filler in it at all, or no wasted space. Like at the beginning, they don't waste. Well, it's not a matter of wasting time. Sometimes it can be called character development, but you didn't get to know at first the people involved, like all the different, people.
another
people in the squad.
really,
You only get to know them as it's happening.
Yeah.
So you've got like these 5 figures you haven't seen before, and there's no like banter or anything like, let's all get to know each other first. What our motivations are you married? You know what I mean? If you've got problems from where your dad used to bully you, or none of that. It's just like straight in the action, and then we'll find out who you are.
Yeah, it's a really good way of actually developing character without wasting time
Come on,
on exposition about the characters, because the whole, I mean, the first half of the film really sets the tone as to why the Predator decides he's going to take them on, because he's hunting the best of the best, isn't he? And he literally is a bystander watching them take out the gorillas in what is a brilliant sort of like first half where they're shooting up the guerrillas and taking out the army and all that sort of stuff, right?
Shush Daisy.
So that whole build up kind of in its own way is the character development, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You know?
It's not told, it's never explained.
You know, Jesse Ventura with his rail gun, Poncho, and the little bits of humour between them as well, all in that first half. You know, you're bleeding, I ain't got time to bleed. Oh really? You've got time to duck. All those little bits of dialogue and stuff like that, just to make you like the characters, and each character death in the film, it has its own little impact, which is really well done actually, to say how they managed to do that in a film that once it starts, it doesn't stop. The pacing's perfect, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, the beats are bang, 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 bang. There's no like, you don't feel like you're being manipulated. You know, sometimes you watch a film and you're like, yeah, they're laying out the groundwork for the character. Like, why? It's called Save the Cat, isn't it? Like, why you should like them and why they're a nice person, or why this person might not be a nice person. But they don't mess their time with any of that. Oh, the first, you can instantly tell how classy it is, because it opens up with Arnold Schwarzenegger and some other people in a helicopter travelling to some like jungle location. And all it does is show of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's just this shadowy person in the background minding his own business, and he just lights up a cigar. And you've got a little sliver of light like at the side of his like really sharp angular face. And he's just like the coolest dude ever.
So immediately, without them having to tell you, you as the viewer immediately know all the other guys that have got out, who are also, you know, three of them at least are big guys. You don't need to be told that the last one in that helicopter is the boss, the leader, the tour de force of the group, just because of how they shot it, and how they introduced him with that shot.
Yeah,
they're brilliant.
It's amazing. It's brilliant. So well done, so well directed.
And I also really love the fact that two of the really macho guys are really quite bonded. They're bros, aren't they? You know, proper bros.
Yeah.
And when one of them does actually die, and how the effect it has on the other one, and all this sort of stuff, you know, I mean, that's emotion that they didn't need to put into an action film like that. Could have skipped that completely. It wouldn't have mattered, I suppose.
The fact is, when you're in like some kind of military unit, you do bond, because but you have to go through the same things together, where your lives are in danger and stuff. So that emotion is real, you know.
I cared for them when I first saw it, and on rewatches as well. I cared for them all, and I know nothing about their backstories, like you said. All I know is that they're a tight knit group of guys who trust each other with their lives. And as each one is getting picked off, you can just see what effect it's having.
Yeah, it's really clever.
Yeah. How much do you know about the history of the actual making of that with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
A zero.
Okay, so proper Predator fans will know this, but if you're not too familiar with this, it's quite an interesting sort of little story. This in the early parts of the film, when you first see the Predator camouflaged, the shape of the Predator actually isn't like the shape of the Predator when he's comes out of his camouflage. It's more like a giant lobster type sort of shape. And the reason for that is because when they first started filming, the whole design of the Predator was done by a different studio, and it was a really weird looking creature. And they employed Jean-Claude Van Damme to put in the suit to be the person doing all the running around in the jungle and stuff. So the Predator that you see that kills Hawkins and drags his body, that's camouflaged, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme in the old suit.
No way.
Yeah. Anyway, they realised it wasn't working because it just looked really weird. And like Alien, the whole thing about this film is, no matter how good the acting was, no matter how good the action was, if that Predator looked shit, that film was going to be shit. And Alien was the same. It had to be right. So they got hold of Stan Winston. Stan Winston Studios, who had famously done work on Aliens and done the Alien Queen. And prior to that, he'd worked with James Cameron again, and he'd done the Terminator, the T-800. So he's the guy in his studio that designed and did all the sequences for those two films. And Stan Winston was on a plane, having designed the Predator as we know it, and he was on a plane with James Cameron. And James Cameron, he gave it to James Cameron and said, "What do you think?" And James Cameron said, "I've always wanted to see something with mandibles." And it was because of what James Cameron said and did, that's why the Predator had these mandibles. And Stan Winston added those, and of course, the rest is then history, isn't it? I mean, so it could have been such a different film, and that's how fate goes sometimes, isn't it?
It is one of those films that does slot into that can only be done once. Like you say, everything has to come together all at the same time. All those actors, even things like the special effects. Like, I mean, can you imagine in 50 years what it's going to be like looking back at some of the films from the 80s, how badly they would have aged? But that one, it's got a certain it works because the special effects are just off enough for you to think, what the F am I actually looking at?
Oh, when he's camouflage and you look at him standing on the branch. You can imagine if he's using that, if that is space age technology, it would look a bit weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what's it supposed to look like?
We wouldn't know anyway, would we?
It would look really weird. Like, what am I looking at? Because they were like, is the forest coming alive?
Those bits where Sonny Langdon's character Billy, so Billy is like this big Navajo type character. He's kind of like their tracker, isn't he? He can, and they use him really, really well, I think, to build the suspense and stuff. Because there's these moments where he's just standing there, and with you saying about what would it look like, he's just standing there looking out into the jungle, and he knows there's something there, but he can't quite put his finger on it. None of the other guys are intuitive enough to know it, but he knows. And he's got that classic line, I don't know what it is, it ain't no man, and we're all gonna die. And,
his character really does bring that intrigue into the film, rather than it just being an action film. He does bring, like, as it's unraveling to you, he brings the sense of mystery and dread to it. That otherwise it's just some army dudes up against like an alien. But with him, he puts all the mystery into it, and the dread and the sense of foreboding.
The foreboding, yeah. Again, it's very hard, isn't it, when you've seen a film a few times to remember what it was like when you very first watched it, and not knowing at what point, you don't actually see the proper full design of the Predator. You don't see that, apart from only very briefly when he's leaning around a tree. You don't see him in his full suit and everything until he comes out of the water, and that's like an hour and 20 minutes into an hour and 45-minute long film.
And that's with all his armour on as well.
Yeah.
You don't even see what he actually looks like underneath it.
You don't see the face.
Last fight scene, anyway. It's funny because, like, even though he's supposed to be like, right, I'm a predator, and I'm gonna hunt like my equivalent of me in this world or whatever. But he's got like all this armour on and like camouflage and like shoulder-mounted laser guns, and he's got all the advantages really.
Got the high tech, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not actually a fair fight, is it? Until the end, where he's like, right, I'm gonna strip all my armour off and just take you on.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the tech he carries is way beyond anything that we know at the time, and it serves its purpose for him pretty well, doesn't it? For a while, and yet it's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger literally going back to basics, isn't it? That actually starts to then show the cracks in what he can do, and that's quite novel, I think, really.
Yeah, so it's deep. It's really nothing's there just for the sake of it, just to get from A to B.
I guess it's like you said, it's the beats, isn't it? It's like everything just flowed beautifully enough.
And there's the other. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off there. There's the other bit where like the two guys decide to go out while the others trying to get to the helicopter, and they're going to you just assume they're going to die straight away. But they actually see the predator in a tree, licking his wounds or whatever, and his camouflage. And in a way, the humans outfoxed the predator. Apart from one thing, they didn't have a sniper rifle on them.
I didn't have a sniper rifle.
So they had to get closer.
Yeah, and the other thing that at the time they don't realise is that the predator's helmet, he can see heat, can't he? And they don't know that at the time. If they'd have known that, they certainly wouldn't have done what Bill Duke did. Crawl underneath the...
They wouldn't have done that, and if they'd had a sniper rifle, they would have just been able to take him out there and then...
Film ends half an hour earlier than it should. We win. Oh man,
I like the whole thing with Bill Withers as well. Who's like, he's not a double agent or anything like that, but like
Carl Weathers. Sorry, Bill Withers. He's a singer, isn't he?
Lovely
day. It's a lovely day.
Yeah, he's like gets
Carl Weathers
under false pretenses, saying said it's a humanitarian rescue mission or whatever, but it's actually some CIA agent that's been kidnapped.
Yeah,
but that's like, he's not the bad guy in that situation.
Really.
Because he works for the army or whatever, and they're under orders, and like these guys are mercenaries, but at some point they probably were in the army and they would have had to do the same thing. So there's like, not in like, say like Aliens, you've got Burke who's like, works for the company. Yeah, it's not like that. It's like, it's not black and white. It's grey.
No, it isn't.
In terms of the morality between the guys as well.
When Carl Weathers, when Dylan says that the reason that they called him in on a pretext was because they knew no one else could actually do it other than their team, and although they've lied to them to get them to do this mission, but by completing the mission and killing the guerrillas and getting the information they need, they've stopped. Like, a war happening, like a coup or something like that, whatever it would be, saving hundreds of lives potentially. So, you would do that, wouldn't you? And then tell them afterwards. Yeah. Nobody knew that the whole team was going to get wiped out by an alien, did they?
I mean, really, they don't need to know. Well, I assume they didn't. Yeah, it's like, maybe there's some aliens.
Yeah.
We won't go. But,
what about that bit where you first see Jim Hopper's team, or half of his team, all flayed, hanging upside down? Can you remember when you first remember seeing that for the first time?
I can you? It's quite an impactful film the first time you ever see it.
Yeah, and again, I knew nothing about it apart from it was an sci-fi action horror type sort of thing. I didn't know anything else about it when I saw it, so I didn't know.
The main thing I can remember was like when they all go ape and let off all their guns into the jungle.
What a shot as well.
It goes on for ages, man. You've got the Gatling gun, you've got like the machine guns, you've got the
M16
grenade launchers, and everything's just blowing up, and like, wow, they went to town, and the visuals looked absolutely spectacular. Like trees getting ripped to pieces, and
I loved those. Again, to make it impactful, they didn't do it too much, so that when they did do it, it looked really wicked. That shot that you just said, there's another shot near the beginning, and I said to you at the time, I really like this shot, and it's when they come over the top of the bales or the crates, when they come to get the gorillas, and they come over one at a time as a team to come down. And then there's another shot late in the film where the predator is just standing on the tree at night, firing his weapon up towards where he thinks Schwarzenegger is, with all the sparks.
Wow!
And he's on a massive wide, isn't it? I mean, the predator in that shot is like that.
For ages as well.
Yeah, and it just looks fantastic.
That was incredible.
Yeah, and I just thought, that's really good. Whoever the cinematographer was on that film, and you got to say kudos as well, because I reckon 90% of that was on the location.
Yeah.
That wasn't on the set.
It didn't appear to be, because there was like waterfalls in the background.
Right, proper running waterfalls.
I mean, there must have been some bits that were on set, but it didn't look like it. And even the bits where you would probably be like, they've probably got lighting set up for that. You couldn't actually tell.
No.
You couldn't.
Not like that film we watched where you could tell they parted the trees and the two, like, I can't even remember what that was now, was it?
Oh,
Was that the
the,
Andromeda strain? It wasn't, was it? What one was that?
No,
The two
it was
lights-
the Squeal Piggy.
Oh, that's it, Deliverance. You're like,
Deliverance.
oh man, you got two lights straight on there. It's like, oh, hello. It just switch the light switch on. We're all... No, man, it was dark. But not that dark that you couldn't see what was going on. It was moody, really dark.
In the
It didn't look
daytime, it just looked like natural
Yeah.
light coming through the foliage.
Do you know what? I don't really think I've fully appreciated until today, talking about it, just how technically good that film is. Actually,
It's very, very well done. There is some bits that are like a bit muddy and slightly out of focus, but overall, the 4K treatment's really nice as well. And they haven't tried to like modernise the 4K treatment. They haven't done a different colour treatment on it or try and brighten things up or anything. They've just like up-resed it, really.
yeah, it just looks like it was filmed yesterday. In a lot of the scenes too,
Yeah.
look like it was filmed yesterday, or not
But
on film, but.
Well, it still looks like it's done on film.
The nighttime shots definitely.
Yeah.
But the daytime shots I thought were looking
Like
really clean.
Modern day stuff, you can see they've lit it, but even in that 4K treatment, I couldn't really see any sign of like lighting and yeah, really good.
Some of the shots as well, like there were certain shots as well that I thought, oh, that's really they went the extra mile to get certain shots. So for example, there's a shot where Schwarzenegger is doing his like crawling down the hill through the leaves to get to the log to then look over at the gorilla camp, and the cameraman followed him as he went down, and then he ends up in front of the cameraman, and then the cameraman still following him comes up and over his shoulder, and then you become his eyes looking down at the camp.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what, that was a really technical. It lasted 7 seconds, 8 seconds, but I thought that was a really technical shot. And that was really
Check
cool.
you out.
Yeah, you know.
I didn't even notice that one.
And I just thought, yeah, because they could have done it in cutaways. They could have easily done that in like 2 cutaways, two bob, but they didn't. And I
Just
thought,
wide.
wicked.
Yeah.
It's that shot where they go up through the vine as well, where you see the vine, and they take the shot and they follow the vine up.
Oh, that was amazing. That was the first time I knew they definitely weren't filming the stuff in the studio.
Yeah.
It was like,
And past the blood on the leaf, and you're like, what? And then eventually there's Hawkins hanging upside down, ready to be flayed. But it's a long shot again, isn't it? They take the time with it. It's not rushed.
really, really skillfully done. I bet like most people don't realise how skillfully the film is made, even on a technical level, because it's like, yeah, like from that period, yeah, like macho, like it's a bit weird when you see him with all that, like their arms are like that, aren't they? It's
That's
like,
it. Absolutely huge. Bigger than my thigh.
Oh yeah, it's gigantic men, but like it is actually a really skillfully put together film.
Very, very much so. Yeah, and I like doing. One of the things I really like doing about Man Caves and Margaritas with you, Twiz, is that I start to appreciate a lot more the effort that people are making when they do certain things. And that's what stood out for me on this viewing anyway, having seen that film countless times. That's what stood out for me a bit more, some of that sort of stuff. And the score too, actually, how effective that was.
Yeah,
Alan Silvestri, I mean,
so
simple but so effective. Yeah.
I was going to say the Foley of all the jungle and
The Foley and stuff, and the noise.
all the insects and footsteps and explosions, and it was absolutely stunning. I'm going to have to assume they remastered the all the audio, because that was I mean, it might not have, but it was stunning.
Clear as a bell, and
Absolutely
really good.
stunning.
Yeah, really good. And when I think of certain scores for certain films, ones that stand out in your heads don't always have to be really complicated, do they?
No, they don't have to be something you can hum along to either. I mean, you're not going to take something from Predator and like put it on your playlist, are you?
No, but the minute you hear a certain score, and if it takes you straight to the film, you know how great that score's been, don't you? So, like, perfect example, Jaws. You know, so I mean, as soon as you hear that, you know shark. As soon as you hear, and they do reuse it sometimes in other films, not often, but I have heard it reused. But when you hear the predator, you know it's predator. It's like, and how simple is that?
You've got all that noise he makes as a...
Yeah, and when he's in his when you're seeing through his eyes as well, and that sort of weird sound effect that they do, like when you I can't make that sound. I won't even try. I can't even do shit. That's like 70s porn actually, Joe.
Wow, you've been watching some weird stuff.
Yeah, so what other Predator films have you seen then of the franchise then?
I've seen quite a few. I mean, I can't remember them by numbers.
Is it just Prey that you haven't seen, do you think?
I mean, I don't know if there's like a Predator 4 or a Predator like Requiem or what, I don't know. But like I've seen the first two Alien versus Predator ones as well.
What did you think to those?
I did not care for them.
A lot of diehards have a similar sort of opinion, I think.
I haven't really cared for any of them apart from the original, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like you take Alien.
Yeah.
Well, actually, to be honest, you could take
two good Aliens.
Well, you could take Alien and you could take Aliens, two cracking films, blah blah blah, and you could take Predator, fantastic as we've already said, but also often forgotten. Really good sequel, Predator 2 with Danny Glover. Set in
I was going to ask you about. I have seen it.
It's very good.
So that's the one where you end up in the Predator spaceship, don't you?
Correct.
And you see a prize of one of the alien skulls.
You do, yes, that's right.
Is that worth watching again?
Predator 2. I think we'll definitely put that on our list for sequels.
Oh, okay.
Well, seeing as we've watched Alien, I think we definitely need to watch Aliens, and seeing as we've just watched Predator, at some point we definitely need to see Predator 2, because I do think it's worth seeing the sequels to discuss how effective they are following on from that.
As long as they're good, yeah.
And I would highly recommend to you anyway, I think I was saying earlier, Prey. So I think Prey was done really, really well, and has it's given the franchise a bit more of a kick again.
Right.
They're doing a follow up to that too. So long may it continue,
Okay.
Long may it continue. So do you think you could have handled yourself in that jungle situation, and if so, which of the team do you closely resemble?
To be honest, I would have done better than that native Indian. Was he a native Indian?
Like a Navajo type.
Navajo, because in the middle of a hot, sweaty tropical jungle, he got a knife and cut his chest. It's like if the predator wasn't getting him, he was getting all kinds of diseases and dying of yellow. He would have died of yellow belly fever.
He shouldn't be cutting himself. He's going to get infected.
Yeah, he would have got all kind of ticks and leeches. So
oh my god!
I'd have done better than him. But,
okay.
I wouldn't have done better than Arnold.
No. Okay. So which one of the characters do you think you closely would have resembled in that scenario?
Oh, definitely the lady.
Anna. Give me the weapon.
Well, let's score it.
Oh God! Well, I know exactly what I'm going to say, and not to be boring again. I think I scored in the last film really high, but that you see my house, man. I've got Predator stuff all over the shop. I love Predator, mate, and the first is the best without a doubt. It's brilliant for all the reasons we've discussed. I love Stan Winston. I really, really was sold on the Schwarzenegger films as a kid as well. So it was nice to reminisce when I watched those films too. But it's ageless, that.
Yeah.
So 10 for me.
Okay.
Strong 10 as well.
I'd say yeah. If anyone was gonna like try and point out anything wrong with that film, I think they've missed the point.
If they pointed out anything wrong with that film, I'd get my Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Old painless. Muzzle flash. and then I'd sit down and rewatch it, I think.
Exactly, it is perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect. I'd recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, me too. Unless you're under the age of 5.
Or you don't like films that don't have superheroes in.
Or you don't like watching films that have only got one female actor in.
Yeah, or you're very easily offended by 80s sensibilities regarding
or you
language and.
Oh yes. Right, brains, faggots. That's what you eat.
Yeah.
That word was used in a derogatory term, and that wouldn't get away with that now, would they?
That would not fly.
Or if you don't like really big sweaty men chewing tobacco.
I mean, I don't know how women would feel about that film actually, but me as a man, I loved it. So.
Honestly, it's the most macho. At the moment, I can't think. To finish off what we're talking about, right? I genuinely cannot think at the top of my head at the moment a film that I would say is more macho than what we have just watched for an hour and 47 minutes.
It's almost like they're taking the mick, but they're actually not.
But they're not. But they're not. The whole point is they need the strongest, most machoest team. Otherwise, the Predator would be like, well, yeah, he's not exactly.
Nowadays, half of that cast would be women.
Well, let me say something. Actually, I'll tell you something. Talking about that, I don't want to give too much away, but when you watch Prey, and I'll get you to watch Prey one day, it's a role reversal. So it's all about the cleverness and strength of a woman against a predator. Right. Very, very good. Oh, okay. Very, very good. But as a bloke from the 80s, wanting something pretty darn macho, ticked all the boxes for me.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Watch that.
Watch that. Ugh.
Next time, back again. Oh, I forgot to put the T-shirt on. Taking it in turns, you see.
I didn't.
Taking it in turns.
So maybe next time we'll actually both have T-shirts on.
Yeah, go on then.
And I'll have my poster up.
And we'll not have dogs. Oh, I forgot to put the poster up. Well, I thought the first 15 minutes of this podcast was the most professional we've done.
Until Claire came in. I nearly went to the chopper. I nearly went to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Right, we need to finish with both of us doing our best Schwarzenegger impersonations, right?
Okay.
That's how we're going to finish. We'll sign off, okay? Do you have one in your head that you're going to do?
Yeah.
All right, but it can't be get to the chopper. Because that's like, you're going to go first?
Okay.
Go on then. Right, here we go. This is us signing off. Okay, ready?
Get out.
What? What the heck was that?
Oh no!
Okay.
Shush. Right. Get out the chopper.
Get out of the chopper.
Yeah, Terminator. 2.
Terminator. Oh, get out.
Get out the chopper.
Well, I'm just going to say 2 words because it's the only Schwarzenegger. I can only do it by saying 2 words. Get down. Get down.
I'll be back.
Get down. Get down.